going to give a few moments for Cole's Corner to come in, and a few moments so that I can have my computer screen showing what you guys see. So I would like to talk about 80s music. Ooh, yuck. Just about dropped my phone. Slippery fingers. I feel very old now that, a lot of the music that I grew up with is considered oldies. I, really wonder when that happened, because I don't think I'm old enough to have what I grew up with to be oldies. Come on, where are we? Oh, excuse me. Drinking pop. And, carbonated beverages cause burps. There we go. The pop I'm drinking is in a can. So, fun. Okay, I hope I didn't make Cole's Corner rush through what they were going to be doing, because they had about 10 minutes or so of stuff to do before they came on. I see 2 people watching. We are 20 degrees Celsius. Let's see. So that's probably close to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Just hang on. I'm going to ask my Google, but I'm going to mute this time while I do that. So just while I'm saying my part, instead of having it end up being in stereo when I watch this and when I watch this later to see how much I messed up in my own speaking. $68 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. That's close to 70. Hey, Cola. Hello, Cole's Corner. See, 80s music. What did I listened to? A lot of Madonna and Cyndi Lauper. What else did I listen to? Pow. They were one-hit wonders. Trying to think of what else I bought in the 80s. Cyndi Lauper was the first album that I bought. I have a lot of Madonna. Can't remember when I started listening to Belinda Carlisle. I had, what's her name? Kylie Minogue. Kind of leaned more towards the female artists than the male artists. I listened to Bon Jovi, but I never owned any. I don't even think there was any Bon Jovi on the, like the super hits of the 80s. I know I had super ladies of the 80s. What kind of... Not a fan of Bon Jovi, but here he is. Um, well, my best friend, when Bon Jovi was really big, was, she bought all the albums. So, I was never without Bon Jovi music. I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan. Uh, my favorite Michael Jackson song, I believe, or if I recall correctly, and it is actually a Michael Jackson song, is Ebony and Ivory or Man in the Mirror. Um, Thriller was great. Thriller was a little too dark for me, and one of my friend, well, my best friend at the time, their whole family, like, they had rabbits, and she was sleeping over at someone's house, and got a phone call while they were listening to Thriller, and she was told that one of her rabbits was no longer alive. And right after she heard that news, the laughter at the end of the song came on. So ever since I heard that, not really a fan. So, John Cougar Mellencamp. Yeah, I'm more familiar with individual songs than I am with artists, so too, unless I owned the album, in which case, can't really get away with not knowing who the artist is if you own the album. So, Terry, what is your favorite Bon Jovi song or album? Or maybe both. And is your favorite song on your favorite album? Jack and Diane. Yeah, I'm familiar with that song. I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with the name John Cougar Mellencamp, but yeah, if it was like the more obscure songs, I wouldn't have a clue. I assume you're just humming or singing something, because Cole's Corner and I chatted a little bit about different topics for streams, and excuse me, 80s and 90s music was one of her suggestions. Oh, Pascal is on. You're singing Jack and Diane. Yes. I grew up with my mom listening to CHQT, which at that time was, 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s music. So, I mean, I grew up with a lot of that. Well, 90s was more punk and grunge, but I'm still remembering a lot of the bubblegum pop, so. I, the first concert I ever went to was Tiffany, and I was in junior high when I went to that. Tiffany and Debbie Gibson were really popular because they were like the first of the teenage pop artists. And I don't know, an interesting show. One of my friends, Corey Hart, Never went to see Corey Hart. I think my favorite Corey Hart song might be Sunglasses at Night, which is probably also the most overplayed Corey Hart song. Bellowhead, is that a band from where you're from, George, or is that because I've never heard of Bellowhead. Do they have anything that might be on Spotify or YouTube? Oh, folk band. Folk music is always good. I've never seen Our Lady Peace, but that band name always confused me because most of my elementary, I went to Mayfield School, and right beside Mayfield School is a Catholic school called Our Lady of Peace. So it just kind of was like, but it's a school. Why is it a band too? It just confused me. I was easy to confuse as a child. Oh, the notification that I got a little while ago was the Pascal show. So nobody's asking about that, but I'm assuming he's live now as well. Wow. Something else we have in common, Cole's Corner. Oh, I should have spiked my drink, then I could talk better. It's another YouTube show. Yeah, I first saw Pascal on, I think, Popcorn Planet, because Oldies channels I discovered during the Depp Heard trial, which I was not gonna watch, and then started watching it, and he does a lot of pop culture stuff. Yeah, it's just the Pascal show. Pascal. If you want to watch, see what it's about. I'm pretty sure Pascal is his first name. Let's see. How was my day? Short. I slept in until after 2. It was another long night last night. I didn't go to sleep until after 5 this morning. Excuse me. And yeah, just kind of napped the day away. Living on a prayer. What album is that on? Or is that the name of the album as well? That's one of the topics your mother suggested. More doors or wheels in the world. You're both team wheels. Well, I don't know. I've never given it much thought. But cars have 4 wheels, but they usually have at least 2 doors as well. The gear is a wheel. Also, airplanes have. I mean, doors and wheels don't necessarily go hand in hand. It looks like you have had this debate a few times. Alicia and Terry and Cole's Corner are all in one family. I don't think so. But if a trapdoor can count as a door, then I guess maybe it should. Yes, you have had this debate before. Um, well, to count as a wheel, I think it should turn. Um, should wheels be supporting something? I think I'm gonna have to change the name of this stream because we seem to have drifted off of music. I remember one day when I was going into work, I was working at a McDonald's, and I had my Discman with me, and I always got to work early because if you're not going to be right on time, I hate being late, so I would much rather be early. The owner's wife was there, and she asked me what I was listening to, and I said I was listening to something really old because it was 80's music. I think at that time, I think it was early to mid 2000s. So, yeah, I had gotten a set of, I think, 3 discs that just had a variety of 80's music. Hey, nobody mentioned not George Michael. What's the name? Karma Chameleon. I just don't remember the name of the artist. It's slipping. Boy George. Ah, I knew George was in there. um, I remember being in small town Alberta, and we had just seen an interview with Lady Gaga, and I said it would not surprise me if it got out that Lady Gaga was not born female. Not that, like there's nothing wrong with it. It just, I I just said, it wouldn't surprise me if this happened because, I mean, I grew up with Milli Vanilli, Boy George, Twisted Sister. Oh, things aren't always what they seem. Milli Vanilli, their downfall really was that the people that we saw in the videos and who looked like they were singing weren't really singing. So it was some guys who didn't think that their faces would have made it as pop stars. So they just kind of stayed behind the scenes, and the people that we thought were Milli Vanilli were just lip syncing and posing for album covers and such. And I think Boy George was the first one that that I saw that was not necessarily dressing, gender specific. But apparently Twisted Sister did that many years earlier, and my favorite Twisted Sister song was We're Not Gonna Take It. But most people that I knew liked I Wanna Rock much better. But I thought that one was overplayed, and I just like the message better for We're Not Gonna Take It. Because, when you're a teenager and you're trying to push those boundaries, try that again. When you're a teenager and trying to push those boundaries, um, that's kind of your anthem. We're not going to take your rules. We're not going to take this. We're not going to take that. So, um, let's see. I remember Beat It. It was the big Michael Jackson song, and I think that was when I Wanna Rock was popular. And it's harder for me to remember because I know I was in elementary at the time. So, I just remember some kids getting into an altercation because one group of kids liked one song better than the other group, than a different song that the other group of kids liked, and fun times in the 80s. Let's see. Bon Jovi was big in junior high. He might have still been big still been a big name when I was in high school, but my my best friend who really liked Bon Jovi went to a different high school than I did. So we kind of lost touch a little bit during high school. We still lived as close to each other, but you get a whole new group of friends and all sorts of stuff happens. So I don't think I was ever really popular, but high school was much more fun than elementary and junior high because, there's a lot more people in high school, so if one group of people doesn't like you, you just say, fine, see ya, and go where you feel comfortable. So, and that is where that is when I met Cole's Corner, was when I was in high school. But she's much younger than me now. So, yeah, I was never really into the heavy metal, hard rock. High school was great. Well, I think high school was great for you when we started going to the same school, when you went to your... Yes, we are the same age. We were born in the same year, but one of us is in denial about their age. So, at least I'm assuming you are. Because next year I'm turning 50. And, well, you came from small town Alberta. Thank goodness you drove, because otherwise, if you didn't drive, we wouldn't have gone to the same school. So, and they're a lot more strict about where you live and when you can go to certain schools now, because well, between Shep and JP, they have they kind of use Stony Plain Road as a dividing border. So if you live south of Stony Plain Road, you kind of have to go to JP if you're within whatever streets. And like, I would have still gone to Shep, but my friends wouldn't have been able to go to Jasper Place. So, just because there are more high school students now, One way to know that is to look at the class grad pictures at the end of the year. Excuse me. Um, the year I graduated high school, which wasn't actually the year I got my diploma, but it was the year I completed high school and got grad pictures done and such. Um, the pictures, like, there were less people in the graduating class who got their pictures taken through Jostens, and um, uh, there's a lot more now. So the pictures, they still fit in the same size frame, but the pictures themselves are much smaller. So we would have the picture, and then right under the picture would have our first initial and then last name. So I remember in my sister's graduating year, there were some twins, and their names rhymed and started with the same letter. And they're very common twin names for girls. So it was kind of funny because it looked almost like there was a duplicate because they used the same pose on the graduating class picture for each of the twins, and then it had the same first letter and the same last name. So, I mean, they could have at least picked a different pose. But, yeah. The picture that I had chosen to get, the pictures that I gave to friends and family, was me with the school's graduating colors and holding some roses. So it's the first time I remember holding a bunch of roses. So crazy, crazy times. My sister chose to get her grad pictures done at a photography studio instead. So her picture wasn't on the school's graduating class their big picture thing. So they ended up, her and her boyfriend at the time, they made their own kind of the thing that you put around your neck that shows more of your colors. And I mean, they made them themselves, and got the pictures taken at a photography studio that she worked at. So I have 3 high school yearbooks and 1 junior high yearbook, because I was only allowed to get the yearbook for the year I was graduating from junior high, which was grade 9. And then I have 10, 11, and 12 because I got to pay for them myself. So kind of took that choice away from my parents. So, because I was working, I could pay for my own. So, Cole's Corner, we're the same age, but I don't know if we had the same graduating year. Because my grad year was 91, but I actually got my diploma in 97. I got my diploma the year my oldest started kindergarten, which is how I remember what year it was. So, I became a mother twice in the 90s and again kind of renewed that process again in 2001. And a lot of, you forget a lot of things between children. Like how hard it is to get them to go to sleep when they're teething, and it should have been 91, but it was 93 in the end. Hey, it's still better than 97. I did try to go back to, like, for returning grade 12, after I had turned 18. But I was already living on my own, and I highly recommend finish all the schooling you're going to do before you move out from your parents' place, because that mom alarm clock is amazing. So, when I was in high school, my goal was to be gone before my mom got up. To all caps, hated taking the bus when it was crowded. So I would leave well over an hour before school started and meet up with some friends. And it started in grade 10 because my sister and her friends used to hang out in the cafeteria. There was a specific table they hung out at, and yeah, so that was their table in the morning. And if somebody would get down there fast enough at lunchtime, then they could have at least half the table kind of saved for their core group of friends. And I got to kind of ride on my sister's coattails for a little bit there. And then I, kind of branched out and got my own friends, and, they met at the mall before school, it's just across the street. So, yeah, so we'd go and have breakfast, which would either be just toast and jam from what started out as Grandma Lee's, but then I think Grandma Lee's kind of died out as a chain, and the people who owned that location changed the name to Discovery Cafe. It would depend on what day of the week it was to see if I'd spend more time in school and more time in the mall. If I didn't get the Texas toast from Grandma Lee's, I went to McDonald's. And it was harder to go to McDonald's because you had to walk outside and around part of the mall to go in, because the inside entrance to McDonald's didn't open until either 8 or 9 in the morning, when they opened, I think, at 6 in the morning. So it was just a little bit more of a hassle to get into the McDonald's. So yeah, Grandma Lee's had home baked stuff, except I think their toast was store bought. But I liked it because it was so thick, and they rarely burnt it, which was also good. Just get that and put some strawberry jam on it, or if I felt fancy, get peanut butter and jam. Or, I don't know, maybe that was feeling more childish. I think they had good soup and chili, but that's relative. Their soup was more like homemade soup, and I was more of a Campbell's soup girl. Open the can, add water, add heat, and eat. So, Yeah, the big chunks of vegetables and stuff that just wasn't for me. Um, yeah, I don't know why I didn't get more stuff from Grandma Lee's because their stuff was really good. I don't know. Um, Way back then, we could get fries, small fries at Nikki's for less than $2, and they were the steak cut fries, and it was just so much of a better deal when it came to lunchtime. Either that or get a sub or a piece of pizza. But those options. Oh wait, Westmount does still sell subs, but it's Mr. Sub now instead of, I think it was called Animals, and they had. Well, they are, but they're not. When you consider that back then, minimum wage was, oh, closer to $5 an hour. And so you'd have to work more than an hour to be able to get something to eat. Now, minimum wage is $15, and it's roughly $10 for a meal. So, you just, um, well, I never made I never made less than $3.65 an hour because when I started working, when I turned 15, um, minimum wage was $3.65 if you were not in school, and $3.30 an hour if you were in school. But I started working in the summertime, so I wasn't in school. And that year, September 1st, minimum wage went up to $4 an hour, whether you were in school or not. So that was, I don't remember if it was different if you were over 18, but yeah, it went up to $4 an hour, and so it never made a difference for me to be a student and working. Let's see. When I was pregnant with my son, I was working at a different fast food franchise, and um, okay, well, Terry, you didn't grow up in um, Alberta, so in in New Brunswick, minimum wage might be different. So I just know what it is in Alberta. Um, it's more complicated now with minimum wage because if you're in the food service industry, your minimum wage is actually less than $15 an hour because it's assumed that you're going to get tips. No way. That's not possible. Terry, you're not allowed to be younger than us. Age, please. I don't think you're younger than Cole's Corner, though, because she may fabricate an age. So, thank you for the like, whoever liked. Oh, well, 9 months younger than me is different than 9 months younger than you. So, because you haven't had your birthday yet this year. Um, yeah, I think he's probably closer to a year younger than me then. I don't know. I think that's debatable. Um, well, working at 14 was a lot harder. Umbrella Guy is streaming now. Um, Working at 14, it was really hard to find a job if you were under 15. Because that was the age most places started hiring. I remember I went into a clothing store to apply for a job, and you had to be 18 to work there. Um, Small towns are different. Small towns can you can do different things. Like kind of like if you have a family-owned business, you can start working for the family business at like 3 years old to do some minor things like sweeping. But um, yeah. I've seen things like on Dirty Jobs where in family run businesses, kids have started working basically as soon as they could walk. And while it's not entirely legal, it's, you got to do what you got to do to keep food on the table and keep the lights on. So, you kind of have to pull your own weight. So, and you grew up on a farm, so. Oh, I would have loved to work at Mariposa. Um, yeah, I didn't have the maturity to work there though. Um, yeah, I was in fast food forever, and then with a short stint at a photography studio where I worked on the phone. Um, let's see, what else did I do? I delivered flyers before I was 15. I think we had to be either 12 or 13 to deliver flyers. And, well, at first my sister had a route delivering for the Examiner. And that was back in the day when you had to stuff everything yourself and then deliver. So, well, the last time I delivered flyers, it was actually for my dad. Little bit of useless trivia that most people don't know is my dad had the first cyber cafe in Edmonton. He had to fight with the Yellow Pages because they didn't want to give him his very own category for cyber cafe. They tried to get him to either be an arcade because of playing video games, or try and emphasize the cafe part. And oh, you remember that cyber cafe? It was the Node Room first, and then what did it turn to? Cyber One. So, yeah, you paid by the hour to play computer games or go on the internet. And I helped out my parents for a little bit there. Didn't start with the best of circumstances because it didn't start when I was in high school. It started after I was a mother. So, I think I just had Samantha when they were doing the painting for the first one. Internet was still kind of a dream. The World Wide Web just did not exist at that point. Let's see. Yeah, I had just had a child, so it was. Well, I was not ashamed of it. I was very proud of it. And then cyber cafes started popping up everywhere, and you could go on the computer at the library. So, I mean, when you have your library card already, and then you can go onto the computer for up to an hour a day for no more money, then why would you go to a cyber cafe and pay for the privilege? I am proud. It actually started out with my sister's, I guess, fiance at the time, and my dad. And then they had some issues between the two of them. So then I don't remember if the fiance left willingly or if dad bought him out or if there was a legal issue between the two of them. But then it ended up being my mom and my dad running it 7 days a week for roughly 12 hours a day. Excuse me. I started helping them out when it was my mom and my dad only working there. And one of my mom's, somebody that my mom knew from childhood, had passed, and she was going to go to the funeral. So she, I talked to her about it, and she said, well, I asked your dad, and he's not really willing to let me go because he has something that he has to do at that time. And it just didn't work for him time-wise. So I said, okay, Mom, you're going to the funeral. What you say to my dad is that you're going to be gone at that time. If he would like some help, I'm willing to help. So she ended up being overly emotional at the service, and just took some time to collect herself and then come back. But I was able to help my dad out that day, and kind of gave him a little bit of confidence that maybe I'm not as inept as I used to be. So I think it was a few years later that they actually approached me about helping sometimes during the day, because my children were in school, and just made sense that if you have family that is not necessarily doing great money-wise, that, you can give them a little bit of a boost, and they can give you a little bit of a break when, during the day, and do some of the tasks that not everybody likes doing. I ended up doing quite a bit of the cleaning up stuff, like making sure that all of the little, for lack of a better term, booths were dusted and spill free kind of thing, because with it being a cyber cafe, they didn't really say you cannot eat or drink near the computers. So sometimes things spilled, and I got to clean them up. I also got to clean out the slush puppy machine and the popcorn maker, and those things get really greasy on the inside. My heart goes out to people who work in movie theaters because they have to do that daily. And that's not really fun grease to have to cut through. So, yeah, what temperature are we at now? Still 20 degrees, so still roughly 57, I think it was. I muted this time when I asked Google to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, and I wasn't quick enough to unmute for Google to be heard. I rewatched yesterday's live and got Google in stereo because when it was playing through my computer, the Google Nest picked everything up and told me again the conversion from, I think it was 14 degrees to Celsius to Fahrenheit. So I don't remember what it was. Let's see. Another bit of interesting, useless trivia about me is every time I brought a child home from the hospital, there was snow on the ground. If you go back in the, warmest day in history, coldest day in history kind of thing, or this day in history, in 1992, the year I first became a mother, it snowed in August. I remember my sister's best friend and all-round friend of the family sitting in the window in the hospital, and she just kind of looked outside and she said, "It's snowing." And, we kind of thought, ha ha ha, very funny. But it did indeed snow on August 18th, 1992. And it snowed enough that 2 days later, when I got to come home from the hospital, there was still a bit of that stuff in the grass, and the sidewalks were basically wet because that stuff melts. And I should not be saying that word now because it's going to be coming soon enough. I don't wish for it to happen any sooner than it has to. Yeah. I am not a huge fan of balloons, and I was given 2 foil balloons, one by a family member and one by a high school friend. And when we went from the inside of the hospital to the car, it was cold enough so that the helium in the balloons kind of dissipated a little bit, and well, they were not as full anymore of helium as they were. I was told that it would be back to normal once we got back to our apartment, but they were never fully back to normal. So, yeah. It's not something I generally advertise because I can be, if you ever want to see me run, you can have somebody chase me with an inflated piece of rubber. So, those in the wrong hands are definitely, it's a way to be sure to make me move fast, if not comically. Yeah, for the most part, I was embarrassed by it for most of my life. But then I found out Oprah has the same thing. So, she has the same phobia, I guess, where, sometimes you can be around them if nobody's playing with them, but if you put those in the hands of children, I will not be anywhere near. At least not without having something shoved into my ears up to my elbows. So, it's not the most adult thing to do, to run away from balloons, but I don't know. I don't know when it happened, but I know I wasn't always that way. But I have also kind of spread the fear. My sister had to kind of desensitize herself to it after spending time with me, because I guess fear can be contagious. So, yes, winter sucks, but it hasn't been cold enough here for me to actually close my window. I actually almost turned my fan on again last night because I was very hot in my room. I'm pretty sure it got to, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it was less than 10 degrees at some point last night. So, again, Celsius, not Fahrenheit. Yeah, we have our portable fire pit in the backyard. Another reason it's on the sidewalk blocks is for stability, because those are almost always straight and the ground isn't necessarily. So, we've got 4 sidewalk blocks together so that so that not just the ground underneath the fire pit, but a little bit around too, so because sometimes sparks go everywhere. Took me that long to finish a can of pop. Wow. Should we start talking about music again? Because, Terry, were there any local bands that you listened to when you were in school? Or were you ever in a high school band? I mean, like a garage band, not, marching band / orchestra. Because, he didn't grow up in Alberta. So, and I have another question for you. Oh, okay, so where are winters better, here or in New Brunswick? You don't do the same nostalgia that we do? I like reminiscing. Oh, yeah, military makes a huge difference. Yeah, so you probably have, friends from all over. Not necessarily, the closest of friends, but people you know from all over. Where's the most exotic place you went to military-wise? I'm back to drinking my water. But there's no ice in it today because I have to clean out my ice maker. So, New Brunswick was So was it comparable to the winters here? I know in Newfoundland, when they get snowed in, they get really snowed in. Like, you have to go through an upper floor window to go outside, because if you open your front door, you can't see anything other than that white stuff. That shall not be named right now. Excuse me. I kind of tried to give my kids a generalization for, like a general rule for when you should excuse yourself when you make one of those wonderful bodily function noises. Uh, Near the Atlantic Ocean. So, can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that on either coast, when you have like the wind coming off of the water is definitely going to be different than here because we don't have that many large bodies of water. I mean, there's Sturgeon Lake through St. Albert, but it's I think, is it Sturgeon Lake or is it the Sturgeon River? Excuse me. I know that it does go under a couple of bridges. And it's not even comparable on size to the North Saskatchewan River that goes through Edmonton. Yeah, if I get distracted and stop talking about something and you want me to have continued it, please remind me, because once I lose a train of thought, then sometimes it's really hard for me to remember what I was talking about. And sometimes all it takes is a nudge. But that's only if you want to find out what I was actually going to say. So, I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep last night. Continual naps throughout the night or throughout the day don't really, they're not really conducive to a full night's sleep, so. Not conducive. They're not comparable to having had a full night's sleep. Oh, maybe we're just on the same wavelength, or maybe you stayed up way too late last night too. So, I watched Hocus Pocus yesterday, and I was going to watch Hocus Pocus 2, but the Disney Plus that I was using, they canceled. It was my daughter's. My daughter, my middle child, the one who has the children, and they can't really afford it. So, but my other daughter, the one who actually lives here, has it. So I can. Yeah, we're not as young as we used to be. So I'm going to have to get myself back on a decent schedule so that when I do go back to work, that it's not going to be debilitating. And I should find out in less than 2 weeks from today whether or not I actually get my own office, or well, let's see, if I get my own office, or if I, get to be in charge of my own office, or if I get to have another year of just watching and seeing, because I was kind of supposed to be trained on making schedules last year, but that didn't happen. So, but I know it's possible to learn on the fly because my daughter did last year, so I love her, but if she can do it, I'm pretty sure I can do it, because I'm fairly used to the computer system by now. And I mean, I've done 6 tax seasons with them, and um, yeah, this will be season number 7. So um, yeah, um, I am getting tired and rambling, and I hear my throat getting my voice getting kind of raspy. Um, my goal is to feel 100% better before Tuesday, because I may or may not be going for a birthday dinner. And if I'm not feeling 100%, then absolutely not, because the person who's having the birthday dinner is going to be seeing somebody who is on the older side soon. So we don't want to share yucky stuff right now. So, and since it would be a dinner, it's not an option to just mask and hope that we, you know, don't, like, I mean, they're going to be flying, they're going to be visiting, and I don't want them to have to worry about who they hug. So, anyway, I am going to go soon. I will make this public hopefully within 5 minutes of ending the stream. We'll have to Google whether there's more doors or wheels in the universe. So I almost said doors or windows. Alrighty. I will see you sometime tomorrow, most likely in the evening. Yeah. Wow. Tuesday's coming quickly. If I had to answer today, I don't think I would be able to go to the birthday dinner. So, but I still have 2 days. You have a great night as well. The whole family, including the pups. Yeah. Stay safe, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.